And we all live.
You see it?
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, peace, family. We should be live right now. I'm seeing a Trump commercial. It says, New York wish President Trump a happy birthday. All right.
Yeah.
That's the ad they give me.
Yeah, I see that one. Yeah, he got a birthday coming up. They said on his birthday, there's a hashtag movement going around. They said that they're gonna post all Obama pictures and praises to Obama on Trump's birthday.
Oh, man, you know that'll make him mad. You know that.
Which is appropriate. That's his point.
Yeah, he loved Obama. He in love with Obama.
Yeah, that's he got an infatuation with him. So, you know.
Before we get started, I want to let everybody fill in the chat room, man. We got a dynamic show tonight, joined by the 44 God himself, Blue Pillar. So before we get started, let me give a shout out to some businesses. I want to start out by giving a shout out to Spiritually Lit, color changing chakra candles. I got mine coming in the mail, family. You know, I got away from the candle magic for a while. Like when you get into consciousness, there's so many different phases in it. You'll spend 5 years into one. You might spend 5 years into the tarot deck, tarot cards, and you may spend 5 years into the more science. And there's just so many aspects of consciousness. But candles was something I was into heavy back in the day when I was just seriously studying Bobby Hemmett. So these candles right here are allowing me to get back into a science that helped me out a whole lot that I, for whatever reason, I left alone. But shout out to this brother and sister here. Make sure you support them. This is important. spirituallylitcandles@gmail.com. You can contact them. But candles, fire is a very important element when it comes to manifestation. So shout out to them. Shout out to King Simon, of course. You know numerology. When it comes to numbers, this is the man to talk to. His number's right on the screen. Shout out to Mr. G. Mr. G has the audiobook now available, My Journey with Dr. Sebi. Make sure you get his audiobook, Health is Wealth. It's the number one thing that we should all be studying and learning about right now. So shout out to Mr. G with his audiobook.
Okay.
Also, shout out to Copper Child Mike. He told me I said his name wrong last time.
Okay.
So, well, how you say his name? Copper Mike Child? Copper?
Shout out to Copper Child.
Copper Child. But shout out to I'm gonna get Mike on the show soon. I know Mike laughing like a mom right now. But the brother got the best crowns in the game. You seen Blue Pill with him, Red Pill. You seen Umar Johnson, Polite, Sarnetta. The list goes on and on. Everybody got these crowns right here with the copper in them, with the crowns and the jewels and the crystals in them. Make sure you contact this brother. Also, Riverside Tai Chi. The brother got the joint balance formula if you need help with your joints. And Ancient Herbal Care. They have some magnificent products for your skin. You know, your skin is your largest organ on your body, and they got some natural ingredients that they have collected all over the world. So make sure you go to ancientherbalcare.com. Also, last but not least, if you want the Magic Money book and you're interested in ways to manifest money, make sure you get the book. You can hit up the Brother Rich's Cash App, $ Black Magic 363. Make sure you leave your email. The ebook itself is $10. For more information, information will be in the description bar. And with that being said, Blue Pill, man, what's good, my brother?
Goldwater.com, GOLDEWATER. I just been, handling my business. All right, Silver Bullet.
Indeed.
We got some new products as well. This is our vitamin C moss. Vitamin C moss with vitamin C, and of course, one of our best sellers, the Smart Moss. Smart Moss, Lion's Mane Mushroom, and CBD. Amazing products. Got some more products dropping in a few days. So just been hard at work, servicing our clientele, servicing the community, and doing our best to stay ahead of the narrative. There's a lot going on in the world.
Man, a whole lot, Blue. Definitely make sure y'all support my brother Blue Pill. Like I said, health is wealth. And, the attack that they have on the water, the air, the food, You gotta be on top of your game, ladies and gentlemen. You gotta be on top of your game.
We can't afford to lose sight of so much momentum that was built up, you know what I'm saying, over the last 90 days, dealing with people going back to building their immunity, you know what I'm saying? Because what has happened has thrust people into a very psychological, stressful situation. People are dealing with anger, right? Some people are dealing with fear and confusion. You know, I don't see too many people that are happy, that are dealing with a level of excitement, a level of optimism. For some people, a lot of optimism is coming out of the fact that they're seeing things symbolically change, right? But outside of that, family, like, please do not allow yourself to slip into any distraction where you lose sight of the fact that you should be building up your immunity. You should be getting out there and absorbing all of the vitamin D. You should be getting more than normal so you can store it going back into the fall, winter months. So, you know, we just beating that drum, keeping people aware that there's still a war going on out here on multiple fronts.
Blue, I want to start out with, you know, you're known as the 44 God. And
Yes.
I want to talk about the brother Ice Cube. And he made several tweets, but for something he tweeted about may just completely throw people off. And he tweeted about the black cube of Saturn. So talk to me about what the hell, for those who don't know, why is Ice Cube tweeting about the black cube? What is the black cube of Saturn, my brother?
Well, what he did in particular is he texted a picture of the Jewish flag, the hexagram, the six-pointed star, and superimposed, you know, within the center that we can't see is the black box, right? And the cube in particular, and that black cube represents Saturn, okay? And what he was implying by emphasizing or putting the emphasis on the black cube of Saturn is that these particular sect of Jews deal with Saturnian worship, right? And we know from your classic interview with Bobby Hemmett over a decade ago, you know, that Saturn worship also ties in directly to Setian worship, right? And there was a time very long ago when Set was not necessarily categorized as the devil, but one person's God could be another person's devil. Hence the fact that the Jews in the Bible, or the Jews in the Torah for this matter, my apologies, y'all, you know, they come under the dominance or the adherence of a deity called El, right? Hence Elohim's, many gods. So Q was pointing that out. And for the people who live in Brooklyn in particular, amongst the Hasidic, you know, on their Sabbath, they dress up in all black and they have these spherical hats, you know what I'm saying? And also they have the cube on top of the cube where they do their ceremonial, ritualistic adherence to whatever it is that they're reading in the Torah. And the spherical hats that they wear and the black cloaking that they wear, all of that is an honor to Saturn. The ring of Saturn and the color of Saturn is black. The day of Saturn is the Sabbath, it's Saturday. You know what I'm saying? So he's tying this particular cabal into the worship, their Saturnian worship, which some people would denote and say that's, devil worship or worship of a Setian force. You feel me? And that goes into a deeper conversation that maligns them as being, you know, the synagogue of Satan and the troublemakers on this planet. And that's a conversation that they cannot afford somebody of his status and celebrity to be having in public. So, you know, we sort of push back.
It's funny, Blue, because in the conscious community, if you mention Saturn, people like, oh shit, I don't want no parts of Saturn. You got Saturn in your chart? Oh shit, nigga, I'm gonna get away from you. That's not gonna be a good day for you. So from what I gather from astrology, from conscious individuals, that Saturn ain't a good planet to have in your chart at all. So to have a group of people worshiping Saturn, it's like, wait a minute, I thought it was bad. Why are you worshiping it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Again, dealing with dichotomy, we deal with the whole aspect of good and bad, right? But dealing with this influx, or we're talking about how energy moves and planetary bodies and how they influence certain things. Saturn is considered the father, right? In time, father time in particular, Chronos, because Saturn is a planet that causes constrictions. It slows things up, right? And it's the father. It brings you know how the father brings the punishment in the house. Remember we used to act up, and time slowed down. You like, your mother's like, wait till your daddy get home, and you looking at your watch like, God damn, right? It don't speed up, it slow down. And even when he's walking in the door, it's like 3D. Everything's slow, it's like slow motion. You like, oh, so that's what Saturn represents. You know what I'm saying? Saturn represents something that people don't necessarily want, or they're not waiting for it to come around, because it's going to check you in your BS. It's going to put you in your place, right? It's going to bring a level of justice. And, hence the fact also that the justice, the judges wear black robes. You feel me? All of this is Saturnian. And, for whatever reason, we don't want to deal with it as a wider community. So we malign it and we castigate it, and we don't necessarily want to go anywhere near it. But it's necessary because, like you said, we have it in our chart. It's something that affects us. And it's a key part of this particular narrative right now. And we can even go back a few weeks ago, maybe it was 2 weeks, and what did everybody do on a Tuesday, right? Which was ruled by Mars. They turned their profiles into a black box, right? In that particular campaign, even though somebody wanted to introduce me to, there's a brother that was behind it, it was picked up by the music industry, which is, we know, dominated and commandeered by Jews. And they promoted it heavily, and they got all of their underlings to promote it as well. And it culminated into a hashtag movement in the millions, right? And nobody made the connection that was Tuesday morning when it started, right? But Monday night, there was an actual blackout in Washington, D.C. In the Chocolate City. They had jammed the communications where people weren't able to get any communications out for 5 hours. So at 1 a.m., because this is when the riots and the burning and all of that stuff was still taking place in D.C., and they was rushing Trump into the bunker, and all of that happened the same day that, the documentation came out about his court case with Epstein, right? That got swept up under the rug. That wasn't even a 24-hour news cycle, right? Because all of the screens went black. So it's some interesting connections and some correlations where the magic today is like, I could put this right in front of your face and tell you that you don't even see what you're saying, right? It's illmatic.
Wow.
So they're attempting to silence Ice Cube at a time when everybody at home, now I can't say everybody, but a good majority of people, they saw, what is that? What is it? Out of chaos? Out of shadows. They saw Fall of the Cabal, right? They was able to read wild documentation that came out from WikiLeaks and all sorts of other people, right? People are sitting home studying the history of George Soros, right? Researching Bill Gates, finding out about the Rothschilds with this whole financial meltdown. You dig what I'm saying? Everybody's in a bag that's doing a little bit of research. Guess who it all leads back to? But then Ice Cube can't make these particular statements because they have a inner network that's already built in called the ADL. And the ADL acts as a shield that pops up and defends you if you fall under this particular ethnic group without weighing any evidence to see if there's any truth to it. They just come into your rescue immediately and putting the shield over you. Oh, you can't say that. That's anti-Semitic.
Yeah, Cube said something interesting. He said, anybody call me anti-anything is probably anti-black. And if you anti-black, I don't give a F about you anyway. So I think we're back to square one. Have a nice day and go F yourself. So Cube is going all the way in.
Right. You're talking about someone, right? And let's put this in perspective. We're talking about someone who has done business of the highest order, right? With Jews in both entertainment industries, the music and in movies, right. Okay? So if he don't know them amongst our population of people who have been able to go inside and sit at the table and deal with these people on an intimate level, if Cube don't know them, who do? Right? He has formed his own basketball league. So he's had to deal with these people in banking more than likely, right? He's had to deal with them in different levels, in different echelons of levels. He's had direct dealings. So he's more so speaking from direct experience of somebody who has been on the scene busting his gasket for over 30 years. Right? Hollywood was just praising him as a genius a few years ago when NWA came out, right? On top of all of his already Hollywood accomplishments. But when that biopic came out, they was crediting him as a genius. What happened? He's falling out of favor so quick because he don't have no filter on him. Something ignited in that young man where he's spitting fire and telling the truth and shaming the devil.
Blue Pill, why is the media so comfortable, or why some people may say the Jews control the media? Why is it okay to call Trump's base or Trump racist, or Trump's base white supremacists, or people who hold the Confederate flag racist, but it seems like Jews you can't even say their name. What is it about, Chris Rock made a joke years ago. He was like, yo, black people lump crackers all in the same group. A cracker is a cracker is a cracker. We don't have time to dissect different groups of crackers. What is it about the Jews where they're off limit to the peers in the media compared to every other group?
Yeah, I mean, it's to our, it is to our detriment that we're not able or willing to understand what the differentiations are between these ethnic groups that have been lumped in under one category. Because you said it yourself, if I own media, right, and I already have a protective shield in place to defend and give me cover for all of the dirt that I do, why would I talk about myself? And why would I allow you to talk about myself, right? We can't even listen to All About the Benjamins and Styles Luch, and Sheik Luch can't even say Hebrews.
Stack chips like Hebrews.
He can't, yeah, and that's a bad word. Right? So think about it. Even when they came for LeBron for whose lyrics? Who said it? Oh, 21 Savage. Yeah. Right? And right after that, he damn near got deported, right? But he had a verse in there where they wasn't talking greasy about this particular ethnic group, right? They came for Jay-Z, right? In his what song was it? The OJ song.
Right.
Right? And they're saying, look, these people have a level of success economically, right? Because of how they play the game. They haven't even gotten into the details about how they play the game. They're just identifying that they want to be identified with that level of success. And they're like, you can't say that. Right? If that's not somebody with a complex, then I don't know what is. Like, these people is not even talking about those people greasy, and they can't even mention their name. So this shows you that a particular group has a control and a grip on the industry in a way in which is unimaginable, where you can't even say positive things about them.
Yeah, man. You can't, yeah, when you can't even say positive things about a group. I mean,
Can't even say positive things about them, right? Leave us alone. Don't even mention us. Pretend like we don't exist and we're not here.
yeah.
Even though they're sitting up at the head of these companies signing checks. You know what I'm saying? Some of them don't even hide their identity, right? AA had told me, and I didn't even believe it. He was like, wait till you come out here to LA. You're going to see rabbis jumping out of Bentleys. And I'd be damned. You be seeing them with the curls and all of that. Yeah. Right? And all of that is tied into the industry money. So it's like, you know, when you get a particular group of people that's that sensitive, chances are they got something that they don't want you to catch on to or be discussed in public.
Yo, Blue, what's up with this George Soros conspiracy where he's funding everything that's going on with the protests? He's probably the reason for it happening. And some people feel as though George Floyd is still alive. I mean, I've heard some wild shit in terms of what's going on right now. What's your take on that? Oh, I think Red Pill. No, go ahead, Blue. Let me let Red.
Yeah. This is we live in the upside down world. This is the very topsy-turvy world. So admittingly, I did see some things that, you know, are open-ended. They leave question marks, right? I don't have the answers to everything. But I do not believe that what I was looking at was a test run simulation of somebody who, you know, was getting fake killed. You know what I'm saying? It looked like they killed that man. And out of respect for his family and friends of the family, you know, people that I know personally that know this man and know his family, you know, I would never open my mouth and say that. But I will say that there are some things that appear to be somewhat questionable. And we are in the quantum realm right now. And, you know, Ross Ben said it's not either or, it's both these days. You know what I'm saying? So the question about Soros, it goes back, you know, when you see almost like when we talk about the Democrats and the Republic being two wings of one plane, you know, if we see both the loudest voices of this movement, both antagonistic voices of this particular movement being Black Lives Matter and then Antifa, and we know that both are funded by Soros, and we also know that Soros is also a master manipulator of democratic processes and procedures, and this being an election year, in all of these cities where uprisings are taking place, these are all democratic strongholds. You know what I'm saying? These are not red states. These are all democratic states that don't know how to police their police, right? One can't help but say, wow, you know, well, where are these people coming from? Who's busting in Antifa? You know what I'm saying? Who are these people that are causing this confusion? Who are these people that are lighting these fires, that are breaking up these stores, that are leaving these bricks here? Now, again, because this is quantum, there's not just one answer, right? The police is involved. You know, you have agent provocateurs, you have master manipulators, you have chess players, and you got spirit involved. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's hands is in it, just like everybody's hand was in COVID, right? Spirit realm was like, I'm not going to miss the opportunity to get some of this done, to get some of this work done.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah, I think that's, yeah.
So the Soros connection comes from his past. The Soros connection comes from what people identify as the obvious fingerprint of this is what he does and how he does it, and this is how he's been doing it for a minute now. So they're only going to be able to go with the obvious, because once again, a lot of things are open-ended questions. They have question marks attached to it. Like, how did this organization mobilize to fan out? Because they hit, remember, 50 states and 19 countries. This was done in under 2 weeks, right? Who is responsible for that level of strategic organization to get these people to 50 different states? Because they wasn't jumping from state to state. You dig what I'm saying? They fanned out and hit all states, and they had networks, right? And the people that was telling me, real time breakdowns about what was going on. It was like what Bobby and them was telling us from day one. Bobby and them was saying what? They said it will be a day when it's going to be, they said it different. They said it's going to be UN troops on the streets of America that don't speak English. Well, people on the front line was telling me, look, there was Arab, Asian, and white boys. There was 6'4", 240 pounds, solid, right? 3 of them was fighting 9 cops and beating the hell out of them. They said they was moving so strategic. They was creating Molotov cocktails and other firebombs that the fire department could not put out, right? Because of the mixture. These people were professional, right? These were professionals, right? Somebody funded them. Somebody brought them in, right? And they obviously was executing someone's agenda, because it damn sure wasn't Black America's agenda, because Black America don't have an agenda other than give me free. What does that look like? What does that look like?
Ray, you hear us?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Yeah, I was asking me and Blue, the last question, I was asking Blue about the all this talk about George Soros. You know, his name is all over the internet. Everybody's saying he's funding all the protests, and there's a lot of conspiracy theories, if you want to call it that, saying that, you know, this whole George Floyd thing is fake and George Floyd is still alive and it's a hoax, it's a psyop. And some of it is weird to me, some of it isn't weird to me. But like we said on the phone, it's 2020, anything's possible. But at the same time, I told you this earlier, I feel as though the COVID shit, they had the world in the palm of their hands with COVID-19.
Did they ever?
I mean, the world, I've never seen the world in the palm of the government's hand like COVID-19. When the George Floyd thing came around, it disrupted their plans completely. So they didn't even have to go to plan B because plan A was working out so great. Plan A was being executed amazingly. So there wasn't even a need for plan B. But here we go with plan B, George Soros plan B. They had to go to that because plan A obviously ain't worked because of the killing. So it's like real, this is some interesting times, man.
When you look at it as a numbers thing, because you know, you in Brooklyn right now. Blue, turn your phone sideways. Let's get you on the vertical.
Blue good.
The phone sideways, because it's standing up. It should be sideways.
Bro.
So George, let's deal with numbers as a drill, right? We all from Brooklyn, so we know about the drill. The 100, there you go. Yeah, you heard that? The 100,000 death mark, right? The 100,000 in New York alone, they said. Or was it America? No, it was America. Phase 1 of event 201, the body count or the drill count, the tally up in a phase 4 event cycle. On the first phase, based off of the scales that the computers are spitting out, because this is still quantum compute, they already showed their hand and revealed it. I could show you about 20 articles where they're like, yo, we're getting our numbers and we're getting our models and stuff like that from quantum computers. So phase 1, the way that the Spanish flu shows on a scale and the way other pandemics showed it, they're measuring it. Whatever this event is, they're measuring it against previous events, like the Spanish flu, because the Spanish flu and everything that we're witnessing right now on many different planes or many different levels, it lines up perfectly where you can say that we are experiencing a cycle that can't necessarily be man-made, because summer is around the corner, correct?
Yes.
In 1919, there was the Spanish flu, there was a pandemic. and then you had the Red Summer that
Which is
preceded it.
what? Explain that.
Red Summer of 1919, that was a very violent, race-filled it was racial tension, racial murders, racial riots all across America, and it was coordinated attacks by the ops. Similar to how many of the brothers and sisters who are gamers, you know, when they have those Call of Duty or those other online those are simulation games, first of all, right?
Right.
Those are simulation games that they could play and that you know, armed forces could use in training. And these simulation games are filtered with a lot of sigils, a lot of symbols, and a lot of insignia of quote unquote white supremacy or the ideology of it. Remember, this is a mind state. This is an ideology. This is an idea. This is an egregor, correct? Because we're not talking about white people, because we know that that's a misnomer. We know that's a fiction as much as anything else is. We know that we're talking about a group, a family of quote unquote, you know, tribes that come from a specific, you know, continent, along with another group of people. But going back to what I was saying, this phase that we're in now is phase 2. This phase was spoken of in Event 201 when they spoke of social upheaval, food riots, and riots and things of that nature. Keep in mind, this is still a part of a Bill Gates, quote unquote, multi-billion-dollar, right? This is a collective. There's a collective of them. If Jeff Epstein were still to be alive, look how deep this is. If Jeff Epstein was still alive, and Jeff Epstein didn't kill himself, and if Harvey Weinstein probably would have never got locked up and exposed, they would be in on this whole thing together because they were funding MIT programs and they were in bed with Bill Gates. They were working in tandem with all of the foundations and all of the quote unquote, the underlying goal. And the underlying goal ultimately deals with transhumanism. It deals with this AI technology. It deals with them shifting the quote unquote economy. It has a lot to do, and it also deals with population, depopulation. So you already see them in this current bag bringing the COVID thing back up against everybody's quote unquote better judgment that you like from where? But they're beginning with the second wave talk. So the same way that the Spanish flu had a second wave that was more deadlier than the first wave, right? And then they had a race war. And then after the race war, we had the Roaring 20s. So now there's rumors of war on the horizon. Tensions are extremely thick out there. There is a psyops taking place on multiple fronts. On multiple fronts. There's infiltration on levels that is unfathomable. What they called COINTELPRO, the 2.0 of it, I broke down before. Coin is the Bitcoin, it's the bag, it's whatever the finances are. The tel is the telecommunications, the fact that your smartphone is Agent 11. What is this? The iPhone 11, Agent 11, Agent 8, Agent 9, you know, because they don't need special agents anymore. Guess who works for the boys? Your smartphone. Guess who's always with you? Your smartphone. Guess who you always have conversations with? Your smartphone. Guess who could ping everywhere that you go? Your smartphone. Guess who's listening when you're talking? Your smartphone. Guess who's watching when you're not? The smartphone. It is the agent. It is Agent 801. It's the illest infiltration that they had. It's the illest Trojan horse of the Federal Bureau of who? Investigation. What did that mean? That means this is not the cop show that got canceled. This is not a no-knock warrant. They're investigating. They're surveilling. They watch. and they build dossiers and they make all of these quote unquote psychological profiles, and they're even running they have a digital footprint of you. They have all of these digital quote unquote dossiers of you.
I don't know about the digital twin. Since we in twin season.
Yeah, exactly. The digital twin is they and through DARPA, right? Through DARPA, which is, you know, high form military R&D and whatnot, they formed a simulation of the world where everyone has a doppelganger, a digital twin, a clone. Your digital twin in inside of this digital environment that they set up,
almost like Sims, right?
Almost like Sims in a sense. And your digital twin has, you know, it's operating as if you were to operate. Now, there was an incident that the community got to witness to show you how this thing works out. This is all facts, and this has been witnessed by millions of people. In 2000, and what year was that when they had the doppelganger thing on World Star? When they had a twin, a deep fake of us on Hollywood Boulevard smashing police car windows.
2014. I just watched the video like 2 days ago.
Oh, I need you to make sure you have that downloaded, snatch that, because that's part of something I'm gonna do. Now, there was a video that was going around. It hit World Star, and the dude had on an Egyptian shirt. He had on a hat similar to when we were wearing copper crowns. He was on Hollywood Boulevard with glasses and everything. A complete doppelganger.
Look, 5 minutes after I left Hollywood Boulevard.
That's what
Blue
was
on Hollywood Boulevard. He left 5 minutes after I jumped in a cab to go to a meeting. That attack took place. The doppelganger, the deep fake.
So that's all the way back then. The technology that they have updated nowadays called deep fake, right? Deep fake, right? We talked about this when we did the Into Deep lecture, I think the second one. In deep fake, they have the technology. There's deep fake porn. They have pornography of like Obama getting it in or something. You know what I'm saying? They could take people's face and digitally put it on another person's face. So in this world now where they're utilizing digital evidence against people to bring, you know, for all kind of things, you have to be aware of that. Now, that's not the digital twin. The digital twin is something completely different. So a lot of the, you know, just know that they're go and do the research on a digital twin, go and do the research on a simulated world that DARPA has created where they can basically, it's almost like playing a simulation chess game. So if they're trying to trap you or run down on you or do something, they have ways to run simulations to see what your A and B responses will be. This is how they're playing in that kind of field. So yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to go too far without y'all getting the questions in.
No, definitely. I mean, you was just dropping some heavy stuff, man, about the
Oh, no, that's all researchable. Yeah, I want to be 100% clear on this. This is my disclaimer, right? Mm-hmm. Everything that's being said, right? If you have the willpower, because people don't have they don't have the goddamn will to do anything after, you know, getting information or getting a download or receiving. But there are some that take this and go and do your due diligence. This, whatever we drop, there's sources, and you could definitely, it won't have a 404 on it when you go looking for it. Like nobody recognizes what the hell you asking. No, this information can be researched.
Well, why do you think information, like, you know, we're all students of metaphysics. We're all students of Bobby Hammett, Delbert Blair, Dr. Valentine. A lot of the information that we're into isn't as tantalizing as, let's say, when you talk about the deep state, or remember back in the day, the Illuminati, and now, you know, the new Illuminati is the deep state. That's the new name for Illuminati now. So
QAnon.
Huh?
I said QAnon, but that's deep state. Oh,
yeah, QAnon, yeah. Why do you think our people don't gravitate toward what's going on metaphysically? Because like we said, on many levels, things are happening. People seem to just gravitate toward the QAnon and totally missing over what's going on metaphysically or whatever mythology is being played out people are totally ignoring that, and they just totally into the whole and Trump is our hero.
Real quick.
Trump is the new hero type thing.
Real quick, Blue.
Yeah.
Real quick. I'm gonna let you go real quick. I just want to ask you, what was the year that me and you did that lecture entitled In Too Deep? If you could remember the month and the year by any chance. You remember that, Rich?
No.
You talking to Rick?
Okay.
Oh, I thought you was talking to, no, I don't remember.
No, I was talking to you, Rich, because we did a video. We did a paid lecture, right? On your channel entitled In Too Deep. And then in that video or in that lecture, right, based off of the research that I was doing, the deep diving that I was doing, the complete unpacking, right? The immersing myself in the deepest of depths, that this deep state rat line is called a rat line.
You
right?
did it on August 22nd, 2017, right?
August 22nd, 2017.
Yeah.
I was so deep in the
That's
deep
the day.
state. Huh?
Now I said I'm putting together my lecture dealing with the total eclipse from August 21st, 2017, leading up to the one coming up on June 21st. So that's interesting. You did it the day after that.
Well, hey, look, I need you to go and watch that lecture. Maybe Rich might put that lecture on the channel for thousands to see, because a few thousand saw it, they bought it, but hundreds of thousands wasn't able to see. When we laid that out, we broke that down. We completely unpacked everything. And I was infatuated with the fact that so much things were taking place that our people had no knowledge of. My heart was hurt when I did the research on the dark web and the deep web, and I seen what was going on with these little children and whatnot. You know what I'm talking about? And then when I got into the deep state and I realized that this whole thing, when I was unpacking this whole Clinton Foundation thing, the Haiti thing, the organ harvesting, how they started out in Kosovo with the quote unquote civil war out there, that began the whole organ harvesting thing. Then how it tied into Jeff Epstein, then how that tied into Prince Andrew. It took me into a place that got me where I'm at, because I did Into Deep 2020 recently. So to say, why is the people on the into the deep state? I'm like, because that shit is deep, bro. The bottom falls out when you get into that. It is a rabbit hole that puts a lot of things into a what the fuck perspective, right? And then on top of that, the Q shit, like I had a dude, my brother is a brother named Angel. He told me some shit that was gonna happen in the shit. He said, yo, Michael Flynn, because he be sending me all the Q videos. I'm like, fam, you know, I feel what's going on, but it's almost as if you hop past the information that Black people is giving, because the brothers, you know, and then you giving me what the European is saying. I understand when they say things solidify it, but we've been on that. We've been saying that. So why don't you just go? You could be advanced now. You going in circles, homie. We got through that. And this is one of my students. I'm not saying that for anybody else that's just discovering it. You know, go in, because that has to be disrupted. Why? Because that is a very intricate vein of this whole thing. You know, Clinton and them do got mad bodies. You feel me? These other people, they do got what people say that they got. So if it's gonna save some Black babies, if they say the dudes is pulling babies out of Central Park, make that go viral. Show the people that. You feel me? So that's what I have to say about it.
Yeah, that doesn't necessarily answer the question.
No, I'm not saying that answered the question. I was just putting that on the record, that we unpack that, and I understand what that's about. And now it's become more commercial. It was more underground. Nobody knew about no deep state back then. but go ahead.
Yeah. Primarily, you know, with the master teachers or what they were teaching at the time, right? They had a student body to receive it. The fact that those master teachers or the consortium of them are not here right now teaching in the modern day context, you know what I'm saying? Where's the student body to receive that information? So we're the ones that benefited from being in that classroom. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else didn't. It was pre-internet, right? And then the stuff that's even streamed online is broken up in pieces. You feel me? You might catch a Bobby 1 to 3 and only 1 to 2 is on the internet. You dig what I'm saying? So it's like they was on point and they was on time. But if you wasn't studious or patient enough to say, yo, what he talking about, I can't see right now. Because Bobby said shit 20 years ago that's happening right now. But, you know, who sat with that long enough, right? To be like, I have faith and I believe that what my master teachers is talking about is going to come to full fruition, right? And it wasn't presented and packaged in a way in which is consistent with how people get information today, right? Because this shit digital. So they might even be going back into disclosure files and stuff is redacted from the 60s. But WikiLeaks is releasing it as part of a file, you know, it's part of a digital dump. You know what I mean?
Indeed.
Can I ask something? Can I ask something?
Yeah.
Our master teacher, Dr. Phil Valentine L., in the span of about 4 to 3 years, he, Mr. Metaphysical, there's nobody outdoing the master teacher who is alive in terms of work. Body of work, right?
Let me finish. When you finish, this is important. Go ahead.
Very important. 2 things. 1, our master teacher, my master teacher, many other of the students who are out here, the master students who, in my opinion, some have become master teachers. Our master teacher began talking about the quote unquote rat lines. Our master teacher began talking about adrenochrome. Our master teacher began talking about all kind of these agendas that these pedos and all of these people were having, to the point where people were walking out of the lectures like, oh my goodness. And the talk behind his back and the talk when he wasn't around was that he was slipping and sliding, like he was signed to Loop Records or something, or he was in Miami. That's what they were saying. That ever since he left New York, he fell off because he was dealing with the deep state. He was dealing with Q. He was dealing with the adrenochrome. He was dealing with the fact that these people is onto some other stuff. He was dealing with a lot of things, right? Then, second, I would say, well, God damn it, is it not the reality that we're witnessing and that we're living in? Because I give thanks every day that I wake up, not every single day, but I make it a ritual to say, damn, thank you, Dr. Sabi Genesis, right? Thank you, Bobby Hemmett, Baba. Thank you, Baba Dick Gregory. Thank you, Baba Kalindi. Thank you, all of the math. Thank you, Elijah, because a lot of your lessons and a lot of your teachings have been verified, certified, and stamped. I feel like I'm living through your lectures right now. So even though things might not be on the frequencies that they were when we were in class, I know that we're witnessing what was spoken of 20, 10, 30 years ago.
And what I want to add on, you know, the missing component is a lot of the information that has accelerated and caught on as conspiracy is devoid of spirituality. What our master teachers taught us required a level of a degree in metaphysics and appreciation for spirituality, the unseen and the unknown. You know, with the gematria movement is doing online, it's powerful in terms of the decoding and the number system, but none of them know Kabbalah, none of them know Hebrew, you know what I'm saying? And none of them ever invoke spirituality or the creative force in anything. Everything is a Masonic conspiracy, you know what I'm saying? it totally strips us away from the power of what we would call the connectivity, the fact that everything is connected, everything has a particular through line and an invisible thread. And because I follow numbers, I know this to be a fact. I know that everything is not a Masonic plot and a Masonic plan. Sometimes you are what you call it, you know what I'm saying? You lifting up the hood and you peeking in the work of, you seeing the fingerprint of God. You watching the grand design and you don't know what you're looking at. So they always are attributing it to Masonic. Oh, this is this is a spell, or, whatever it is that they say. It's always devoid of any interaction with creative force or spirituality. So that's why this society cannot appreciate metaphysics, because it's coming from the same thing. Consciousness initially got hijacked, or the version of consciousness that we represented and what the master teachers were speaking, it got hijacked by zeitgeist and loose change, right? And those were Christian movements. So even now with QAnon, and the majority of what you see is Christian psyop movements that are filtering, I wouldn't necessarily say it's an alt-right ideology, but it's this Christian ideology that has an undertone, an underpinning. Because when you dig deeper, you go to some of these sites and you see all of these dudes just talking about Jesus Christ.
Damn.
But ain't it always been that? Hold on, isn't this the latest iteration of something that always has been? We've always had that counter. We've always had that in the movement. There's always, like you said, there was zeitgeist, there was loose change, there was red ice. It's always these dudes. Remember the dude who did that, used to do the ill videos, and at the end it was some Jesus shit. It's always been that. So many of us have been able to sift through it because we're not under the spell. As long your immunity is the consciousness. If you go into these spaces, if you go into these quote unquote, if you go and sit down at these people's feet,
because with the QAnon, it's just Trump as Christ. It's Trump as Christ, and it's Obama as the Antichrist. That's all that is.
So Bobby Hemmett, a dosage, a real-time 5-gram dosage of Bobby Hemmett, you have to have you have to be inoculated. You need a heroic dose of some master teachers. A heroic dose of some Dr. Sebi will immunize you so you can go into the European spaces. We all go into these places. It's a marketplace. It's a place of eatery and all kind of stuff, the same way that they're coming into our places. If you listen to TED Talks, you hear a whole lot of stolen cloth. They talking about niggas looted Target. Shit. They looted Sonetta. Look what P. Diddy did with Black News.
Yo, Blue just said it's a Christian psyops movement. Wow.
That's exactly what it is. But Rich, remember some of our favorite authors on the white side who were going balls deep with the information. They was on Christian psyops. These are like, some of these are Christian Zionists. Some of these are, but it goes back to, like Blue said.
Yo, do you think that, this whole movement that we're talking about, Antifa and everything like that, George Soros, do you think this is an attempt by white fragilists to get away from the whole talk on race? Like, they don't have to deal with racism if they accept the fact that, this is about class, this is the Antifa, this is a white liberal agenda. But if you deal with the whole melanin and the white inferiority thing, then their white fragility starts to gets bothered. So, instead of saying that this is about race, this is the Jubilee year, or whatever that we may call it, they'll just say, hey, this is a white liberal agenda. Do you think it's that white fragility kicking in when we hear things like George Soros?
Are you saying that are you saying, they would utilize the Soros argument, right, to not necessarily address that it might be a metaphysical underpinning, right? Like if I sit back and I see Europeans washing the feet of melanated people, right? And I say, oh, goddamn, I could go into my book and show you where that's what happens during the Jubilee. When I see them trying to attempt to absolve themselves of the debt that comes with the badges of slavery, I could say, oh, that's specifically what happens during the Jubilee. The Jubilee is about the absolution of debt, right? Right? So, like I said, it's quantum. It's not either or, it's both. It's a little bit of everything. You can't be sure what you're seeing and be like, oh, that's this and that's that. It's everything is in the pot.
Everything.
You feel me? So, I mean, yeah, it was just, there's no way that you can get around not looking at it and being like, oh, that's Soros, because it's identifiable. I was looking at Fall of the Cabal and Out of Shadows and all of that, and they was calling it to a T in terms of who Soros is and what he does. And then like 3 days later on my TV, that's when I seen all of this stuff popping off. And I seen all of the actors on the ground at the same time, putting it in. And I was like, oh, this is how you put all of this together. And like Red was saying, I had already seen the agendas where they was like, race wars next. I had seen Aquarius Maximus do her divination utilizing cardology back in May, right? In early May though, saying, yo, I'm seeing a race war coming up. And I was like, how, Sway? Everybody's in a house. But just that quick. You feel me? So there's a lot of things, man, that are taking place that are being manipulated on a on a spiritual plane, but also through the hand of man, the way that he socially engineers particular situations. You feel me? This is all about the body of the people and the way that the body responds, right? COVID-19 was about the body and how the body responds, not just in health, but nigga, if I tell you to go in a house, are you going to do it? The mind as well. So I had said, shit, when we get into Gemini, we're going to see what time it is. Why? Because Gemini rules the lungs and it rules the mind. So I said, this is the make it or break it sign. Under this sign, we are going to see, I made the post on May 22nd, the day after we went into Gemini, right after Big's birthday. I was like, this BIG energy is alive and well. Because in my philosophy and my teachings, according to what I learned from Bobby Hemmett, back when 2001, they noticed Sagittarius A, which is the big black hole, on May 21st, 2001. I said, that's big. I don't care what nobody tell me. Right? Now they're talking about it's big, it's hungry, it's all of these things that categorize BIG. They seen a light come from it on August 8th, a few days after Nipsey made transition, was the first time that they was ever able to take a photograph of the black hole, and the shit looked like the corona. It looked like the corona rising like a sun with a halo. So I'm like, yo, in my metaphysical lens, because with my imagination, I'm allowed to think whatever I want to think, right? Until the shit starts coming true. And then I'll be like, oh, I'm on to something, right? Because sometimes it just starts like a word in your ear. You're like, word, let me go a little bit deeper and dig a little bit more. So I knew that Gemini was going to be the make it or break it. You feel me? And in no time, it was broken. You feel me? It was broken. I'm calling on metaphysicians instead of deep diving all the way into conspiracy. Somebody do a metaphysical autopsy of George Floyd, because this dude and his energy was able to do with trillions of dollars, multinational governments and corporations, and the blood of Jesus could not do, right? And under a month, he was able to knock COVID out the box, remove the fear from the people. The fear sets in your second chakra. That is what's been crippling our people forever. Hence the fact that we've always been a root chakra people in a fetal position, right? Like a baby. Shout out to little baby, by the way. Okay? So
the four.
Now that energy is now able to move past the root chakra, past the second chakra, hopefully into the third, and then we got to get to the fourth, which is the heart, which will be the real test. Once we get into Leo, right? Once we get into Leo and our coronation, are you going to take the throne, melanated black man, or not? Right? Or not. As the ruler and the owner of this fucking planet and this universe. The rest of the galaxy is waiting on you. You just had a dress rehearsal to see what it looks like. If you're willing to get up and stand up, the rest of the world got your back. Whether it is an organized psyops or not, you had the opportunity with your visuals to see what it might look like if you come at this organized, because you got a small window of time.
Hey, Blue,
Reality. Hold on.
Go ahead. I don't want you to forget it.
Reality is about potentiality. Reality is about potentiality. So you went from where the potential for you to win was like this. And then they canceled the season of NBA. And then they brought in a new game. And now your potential to win, your potentiality, your probability, if you are the one if you the director, if you behind the camera, if you are writing the story, the potentiality for us
you
to
the
be
chosen who's chosen themselves.
If you are the chosen one, if this is your Jubilee, if you claim it, something ended in 2019. There was a 400-year thing from 1619. Who did that fall on? That shit has to get cashed out by somebody. Are you going to claim it or not? Because somebody will. And then you're going to be back in the motherfucking dustbin complaining and coming up with conspiracies. But what I'm saying is this. This is it. This is it. The window is still open. Look at this. Guess what? Guess how ill this year is. Guess what June 21st is. Let them know, Blue. Let them know how this thing is lining up for the father. You know what I'm talking about?
Well,
for the son.
You know, like I said, since December, I've been talking about the fact that this year will signify the return of the king, because I said that this year we're going to experience these major eclipses, these major solar eclipse. And a solar eclipse happened right after Christmas on December 26th. It was called a ring of fire. I said, all of these are signs, goddammit. You don't have an arbitrary eclipse called a ring of fire, right? The day after Christmas or Christmas. And then the next one that we're going to see is on June 21st, which is the summer solstice, the first day of Cancer, right? Which happens to be Father's Day. So you have the male principle of the father coming in on the first day of the mother, which is Cancer. You did what I'm saying? And it all involves the children. Who are the children of the sun? Who are these melanated people who are experiencing their Jubilee year, right? Their Jubilee year leading to their coronation. What is the coronation? Is once you finish celebrating, partying, and absolving yourselves of debt, now you get the keys to the mansion and you're able to take reign over the kingdom again, okay? And what is the family? Who is the kingdom? The melanated women and the children in particular. And the white boys is waiting and they looking and they know it and they want you to take control of this shit again and they want to get on your good side, right? So all of the corporations is like, I'm sorry, my bad, you got it, right?
No mas.
Your allies is lining up. They passing this law, they passing that law. And of course, there's nothing that's done without an agenda attached to it. So you could choose to see this side of the coin, or you could choose to use your metaphysical eye and see the other side of the coin. Where you like, yo, everything works in my favor, right? I'm unapologetically optimistic. I created that hashtag on May 19th, the first day of spring. When I came outside and I seen the birds were singing a different song, the trees was budding, I was like, yo, I ain't staying in the fucking crib. Who you talking to? I'm outside every day, right? Because nature's flourishing. Nature has a different story to tell. I'm not buying a story about no corona, right? Because the air smells sweet. I'm like, I'm not buying into that, Joe. You shouldn't either. But proceed with caution.
Blue, real quick, do you think the George Floyd situation showed us that 5G isn't as deadly as we in the conscious community thought it was, or the whatever we thought it was?
No.
Because,
No.
real quick, because
Okay.
maybe George Floyd showed that it's more mind over matter more than anything. So talk to me about that.
Yeah, like I said, and this is for every metaphysician to appreciate, and every astrologer, anyone who's into the cosmophysics, shout out to Raku, of course, you know, under the sign of Gemini, Gemini governs the mind and the mental, right? You know, melanated people made their mind up that they was just fed the fuck up and they wasn't trying to hear it no more. So they like, fuck COVID, fuck all that shit. I'm on one, right? I'm outside. We outside like trees, you know, and it just became a movement. It became a mass movement. So yeah, there's an ability because it's mind over matter, right? It's mind over matter because the news was selling you an idea and people was buying that shit and getting sick, right? How else? I mean, when they say, yo, fear gripped the nation, how did the fear get transferred? The fear got transferred by something that you seen and you internalized and they shook you. And niggas was hiding underneath their beds. That was all mental, right? That has physical consequences on your body as a result. So hell yeah, this shit is all mental. Everything is mental. The mind is all. And George Floyd, he had a very big part to play with it. Unfortunately, we had to witness his sacrifice to be like, yo, you know, I'm out here. I'm sacrificing it all because that's what people potentially did. They put their lives on the line for a melanated man who they don't know, who now they internalize the anguish of his death like it was their own, right? When just a day or two ago, people was on the fence like, yo, I don't want to risk my life by going outside. Now I'm outside. Not only that, I'm outside and I'm next to Negroes, to blacks or Moors, whatever you want to call them, super carriers, super spreaders, whatever, right? And I'm at the police.
Whoop, whoop. Niggas say they outside.
Whoop, whoop. That is an unprecedented turn of events, whether real or contrived, right? And if it's contrived, then shame on the conscious community or anybody else that was talking about mobilizing the masses. You should have came up with a better plan than they did, right? Because the people was that malleable and gullible that you could have had them on agenda and on code as well. So what's good?
Can I ask something?
Go ahead, Red.
Did we bring up the 4-4 alignment? Did you touch on that, Blue?
We didn't bring up the 4-4 alignment. We didn't bring up the fact that just a week before George Floyd died, they were saying that there was a solar minimum.
Yeah.
They said that the sun was going to be at its weakest level ever this year. Okay?
And then what happened?
At its weakest level. But the day, March 29th, May 29th, should I say, the day that this shit popped off, it was a Friday. The day that this shit popped off, they registered the biggest coronal mass ejection since October 2017, when they had the red sun in the atmosphere. They had the red sun, Google it, right? The red sun came directly after the solar eclipse in August 2017. And what happened a few days after August 2017? Hurricane Harvey. And what happened after Hurricane Harvey? Harvey Weinstein. And what happened after that? Me Too. And then all of the other hurricanes happened with biblical names that hit spots in the
Hollywood burned. And then Hollywood burned.
Okay? And it ain't never been the same since. So we talk about the 4-4 meditation when we put the intent into the universe that we was over that shit, right? Back on 4-4. And that Monday, that was a Saturday. That Monday, they said we turning the curve.
Facts. That's all facts. And just tell them what those planets that lined up were. Tell them the planets that lined up on 4-4, 2 days after my son Omari L was born. What were the planets that lined up?
You tell them.
It was Saturn. And it was Pluto.
Yes.
So the energy that's on our people, the energy of the burning, the looting, the chaos. Remember, chaos magicians, right? We are chaos magicians. I named the lecture that I did a few days before the thing popped off, Order Out of Chaos. because that's what we get. We are chaos magic. So why can't it be that the precession of the equinox is as above, so below? The people below are obeying the moving of and Saturn and Pluto is here. Shit is gonna turn up. If you look in the annals of history, it has obeyed its master every single time. Every trip. Now look at this. This is how you know they fucked up. And this is how you know that there's no turning back from this. And this is how you know you have an opportunity to push. Dave Chappelle put him on 2-week notice. How you gonna get Dave Chappelle mad? Dave Chappelle put the entire white population on 2-week notice, B. They can't mess up after this. He let him know. He's beyond pissed.
Indeed.
Right? What did I always say? What did I always say? I said the comedians are the wild card. Right? Been telling this. We had plenty of episodes when I explained the power of the court jester. Right? The fact that he's the only one that could come for the king. Right? The Joker card. Right? So Jupiter, Pluto, it was Jupiter, Pluto conjunction. That's what happened on 4/4, 24 degrees Capricorn. Right? That's what we saw. We saw Saturn conjunct Pluto January 12th. That was the first grand conjunction. The second grand conjunction was Jupiter, Pluto, right? To me, that means what? Big death. Right? Big murder. Or big transformation. Right? Big Floyd in Jamaica equals 44. He was killed by a 44-year-old officer on the 44-degree parallel line. Right? In the Twin Cities of St. Paul. Right? St. Paul next to St. Croix River. Come on now. Come on now.
No, look, Big Floyd, the God. The God. The God. The God. That was his name. Big Floyd, right? The God.
Facts.
And Floyd, the landlord. Talk black to me. Yeah, indeed.
Listen, you know, when we talk about white supremacy, and we usually talk, and we talk about those who practice it, we talk about the soulless avatars, them having no soul and them being controlled by these egregores or these wicked spirits. Do you think when we talk about white supremacy and we talk about fighting it, do you think the correct, instead of fighting white supremacy, we should focus on mind controlling these soulless avatars? If they have no soul to begin with, we could get them to do whatever we want for us. Shouldn't we think about it in terms of controlling them, these avatars, instead of fighting them?
Well, in order to control an avatar, you need to have control over said avatar. When we are disseminating information about what these people are doing, are we doing it from a place where we're giving them power? Are we doing it from a place where we're making that shit actually happen? Because you got to remember, there's a level of predictive programming based off of the information that the European puts out on themselves. You dig what I'm saying? So in reality, with all of the Illuminati stuff that we were talking over the years, but nobody went and did anything, not one thing. There's no World Star video on anybody from the Illuminati. There's no World Star video. There's no W's. There's no nothing on anyone from any of these people who we've read about, taught about, been taught about, keep hearing about through all of these years. So what does it begin to make them seem like? It makes them seem like they're bigger than they are. It makes them seem like they're untouchable. It makes them seem like they're these big conglomerate, you know, these out of reach, you know, it's like they're gods in a sense. They're spoken of. Whatever you give energy to, you give power to. Where energy goes, attention flows. So if we're always giving these people credit, if we're always giving these people attention, if we're always saying these people, it's them, it's them, it's them, and we're forfeiting everything is them, they begin to seem like they are completely in charge. So how could you ever fight them? How would you ever defeat them? You would be afraid to even go after them, because in your mind or in your subconscious, you have not been shown that they bleed just like us. One, that they're not out of reach. Two, that they're not doing half the shit that you're giving them credit for. Three, that some of them are so Poindexter that when you really lean on them, you be like, I can't even, you know what I mean? I wouldn't even dare. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, it had to be somebody else. Then we realized that at the whole damn time, the real thing that we was missing was we had to start working on us. And we needed to get them out of the way. The thing that we're not doing, we're not drawing a line and saying, yo, we need to work on our own. We need to work on getting our own kind of people right, right? And we don't need outside interference, and we damn sure don't need any kind of buffers at this point. So you could get back at us in 5 years, but we need to get us, we got to get on code. We got to weed out the bad apples. We got to lay down the standards. We have to realign, readjust, reacquaint, and reawaken to some real shit, because everybody's not on the on that frequency right now. I say we ignore them. I say ignoring them is going to do more than paying attention to them, because look at them right now. If you ig them, if you look over them like they're not even there, they begin to, the fragility will kick right in. The same way if you ran down on them and made them feel guilty about the skin that they're in. So you don't have any wins right now.
Right.
Hold on, I don't mean to cut your wisdom. If the conversation that our master teacher, Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, along with Dr. Sebi, even along with Dr. Valentine, even what Dr. Blair taught us about the genetics, the molecular structure, the breakdown, the aspect of us being electric bodies, and we're, you know, if we're able to sit down with the brightest and the most intelligent of their quote unquote nation and have a civil conversation or a debate or something, to whereas, you know, we are going to correct on a global scale what has been and the fact that we have to correct something is that the whole world does not know our story. One, they don't know our contributions. Two, they don't even know about the Black inventors. They don't even know about George Washington Carver. I'm talking about like Indians that are over here, Arabs, people from the DR, the Caribbean. They don't even know that we got 100 plus inventors. They don't know a Black Wall Street. They don't know who Garvey is. So we have to reacquaint the world with our glorious history from people who are breathing right now, not the people who they could build statues of and worship, real living people. And there's enough of us that where we could you know, we could represent our nation in a great way.
It's time to take the stage. It's time to take the reins. It's time to tell our story and curate our story of our magnificence and our contributions, right? It's a time for us to stand up, right? And, you know, we see things that are off to a start. We haven't even gotten into summer yet. That Corona rising is about to take place. We will witness, you know, the benefits of having a second son. The children of the sun will benefit from that. You dig what I'm saying? So they got through the first chakra, they got through the second, and then that solar plexus turned on, and it's gonna turn on more, and it's gonna line us up to going through the heart. And our heart deals with compassion. You know what I'm saying? The heart deals with compassion because as a people, we need the healing. You feel me? We need to put love on one another. We need to be compassionate enough to forgive one another and stop the pettiness. And then we're going to see things changing for the better. But right now, you're looking at a body politics of people who are still hurt, who are still traumatized, who still don't believe that they have what it takes for leadership to do for self. We have to become autonomous. And the allies are showing the way. But they are not the way, but they're showing the way. So they ought to be utilized. I remember Keys, he said, yo, put the allies in the front. A day or two later, they put the allies in the front. So the mind is powerful. The mind is powerful, and we can definitely steer them, but we have to have an end goal in sight. We have to have an objective, and it has to be collectivized enough where it's enough of us that are directing it. Not all of this randomness where we still are allowing people who represent the old order, the old world, they taking the stage. And they're the ones that are the voice for the people, quote unquote, and dictating all of this kumbaya shit. Like, that's not the answer.
And Blue, what's going on in Seattle, Blue? You told me to remind you, what's going on in Seattle with this autonomous or something?
Yeah, in Seattle, they have created what's called the autonomous zone. They call it Chaz. It's a 16-block radius, I believe, you know, and they have cordoned it off where the police can't enter, and they've occupied a police precinct. And it's an autonomous zone. It's almost like how Occupy Wall Street was, but they have full control of it. It's a city within a city, right? So how the Moors be talking about autonomy, how other people talk about getting land patents and creating this level of autonomy where you create, or you have possession of the land, what's underneath the land, which is the mineral rights and the air rights, so you can create a no-fly zone. So you can get your plan and your construction and your whatever it is that you want to do outside of the scope that people who are attempting to assume control of your body, because that's still what's going on right now, right? Contact tracing, wave 2 or phase 2 and all of that this is for control of your body. This is for access to your blood. This is for your biometrics. This is for them to get everybody on one system. You dig what I'm saying? So it's a rush to the finish line, right? The marathon continues. The victory lap comes after the coronation, leading up now to the grand alignment, December 21st, 2020, right? That's the bang right there. Bang, bang, bang. You know?
It's going down.
Yeah, man, yeah. What? Let me ask you all about.
Oh, hold on. Yeah, shout out to Eileen Bay. Shout out to Panic. People need to go back to that 9-hour video, right? And become inspired again. How did you forget so quick? You stopped chanting Beetlejuice? Come on now. What happened to that second sun? What happened to all of this cosmic energy and power that's supposed to come your way, melanated people? Why have you given up so easy and forgotten? Nobody told you it was your Jubilee, right? No one put the pieces together to give the people the vision, the 2020 vision, where they become unapologetically optimistic. And they say, no matter what, I know that I'll win in the end. So that's how I'm gonna move through this thing. So we might be seeing things that look sloppy right now, but the future is malleable. It ain't happened yet, right? And this is all of the stuff that you teach. These are all of the tools that you afford to people to say, look, slow it down, control your breathing, and go in, right? And you can control and manipulate reality in real time, right? Because the only time that exists is now. So if you become presently present, you can control the outcome of the future, because technically it didn't happen yet. Quantumly, they're saying it did, but that is determined about the decisions that you make presently.
Let's get to a couple of questions from the people before we get out of here, family. Give me some questions for Red and Blue. I want to appreciate everybody. We got almost 2,000 people in the chat. I want to thank everybody for being in the chat. Make sure you show support. Cash App, $ Black Magic 363. Red and Blue, give your Cash App as well.
$ Blue Pillar 44, PILLAR 44.
Yeah. $ Phil, PHIL, Moreland, MORELAND. Send me as many cash apps so I could get more land. Talk black to me. Yeah.
Yeah. I also, I want to speak about that before we go into the questions. This whole aspect of autonomy, doing for self, and actually, stepping into the space where you're saying, I don't necessarily need them right now, right? We need us. So an article went up over the weekend and it went viral and it caused the reinstitution of a conversation dealing with, melanated people want to live amongst one another, right? So Toomsboro, a town that's up for sale, that article rehatched itself, right? And that article originally came out in 2018. So the shit went viral, right? One of the shifters, our brother, Pop Darby, he said, I'm gonna put together a fund for the people, because he has a network that deals with finances and economics, right? And the brother is a financial genius in terms of the models that he comes up with of how we can utilize digital networks to close wealth gaps in a short amount of time with compounding interest, right? Dealing with numbers, specifically seeing things as numbers and utilizing the mind of an engineer to say, we can win, right? If we unify and we put ourselves under the auspices of a union. A union, what does a union look like? Well, I got like 30 people in my network that have acres in their family, 10 or plus. Are we doing the knowledge to how big 10 acres are? I'm gonna give you a perspective. Black Wall Street was built on 40 acres. They allegedly were allocating 40 acres to a slave with a mule, or ex-slave for that matter. So that's all 40 acres is. You can build an entire civilization on 40 acres. So there's people in my network that probably couple to about 2,000 acres total, right? Like, if you bring that area of landmass under a particular union, right, where each person knows how to exercise their autonomy, right, and protect that land as a stronghold that's part of a network and a union, shit, now you can start trading amongst yourself. Now you can start creating, industry and interfacing and interacting with global merchants, right? You could do international business and commerce. So we went, right? I went up to Toomsboro on Tuesday. We went with DC Young Fly, right? Because the brother has access to exponential amount of resources based on his network, right? And we went with Jay Morrison because he's been there before, and the brother has a thorough knowledge about real estate and redevelopment. And then some of the shifters, me 19 billionaire, we went up there so we can envision on an exploratory mission to see if it was worthwhile to be, concentrating on this particular landmass as somewhere where we can build out this ideal vision of a community finally, or we're going to do it somewhere else, right? So automatically then right after that, a few days, here come Donald Trump, right? I want to jump on the wave of this energy. So now Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it wasn't just in part in conversation because of Toomsboro, we just passed through the 99-year anniversary. And that's this day that's around the time that this shit started popping off for real, for real. So, Red can add on and contribute to that. But next year we'll line up the 100-year window, the 100-year anniversary. So that energy, the return of the ancestors, nobody spoke about the lightning that struck twice and hit the Washington Monument. That's the Tower card. This is twin rituals under the twin energy of Gemini, right? Going right back to the World Trade Center. You know what I'm saying? Because 846, of course, they said that was the time that the plane hit the first tower 19 years ago, right? 19 hijackers, right? So all of these cycles are repeating themselves and they overlap. Remember, 2020 is 2012. So this is about the unveiling, right? Because now we are in the apocalypse. Apocalypse means unveiling. What is the unveiling and the uncovering? The fact that we are headed towards the December 21st, 2020 Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, of which is a 5,000-year cycle conjunction. There's going to be overlapping dimensions. They're already coming out with the articles telling you what? That we found a invention that goes reverse. But when did they tell you that? When we was in Gemini, what does Mercury do? Right? But go retrograde. Then they came after that and told you we found a twin universe with an identical sun. The identical Earth and Moon. They didn't necessarily say the sun. They said the Earth and the Moon, right? So this is the shit that I've been teaching with the Law of 44 forever and a day. I said, what? We exist between two, because the four represents the four worlds. And they already came out with the article saying that that has an identical mirror to it. So I'm like, okay, if the number 4 is the only number that you can arrive at with the same number, 2 + 2 = 4 and 2 × 2 = 4, I would start my Law of 44 lectures out saying, that's the evidence that I have. I said, I teach from a perspective that both of those different lines represent 2 different dimensions that are always converging and intertwining. And the 44 show me the invisible threading of how those universes come in and out. Same way that if you have an electron, right? They say that your electron in your atom, it comes in and disappears. But if it goes and it traverses to the other side, technically, if it's interfacing with that side, it has to bring something back over here. So they got all of these scientific ways, or they have the ways to thwart you and say, oh, that's the Mandela effect. Right? How else can you explain fucking, what did they say? I heard the video today. They was like, oh, my dude, Orion Morningstar, he's talking about Jiffy, right? How the children knew that they grew up on peanut butter called Jiffy. Then they turned around and said this shit was called Jif, spelled J-I-F-F. A day later, they came and said this shit is spelled J-I-F. What the fuck is going on? Why does the Bible say not the lion and the lamb, but the wolf and the lamb? Go get your Bible, right? You got somebody out there that's supposed to be smacked, right? Your hands is too fucking cool. You got cool hand Luke syndrome. You're supposed to be putting that shit across the face of precinct. Why y'all niggas not rioting before us? What the fuck is going on out here? Go ahead, Ray.
The 99-year anniversary of Black Wall Street culminated right around the time of the riots, May 29th, or properly called the insurrection. Was not the riots, it was not the protests, it's the insurrection of 2020. This is the 2020 insurrection. That is how it will be identified in the history books. That's how it will be written of. The riots and the protests are aspects of the insurrection, okay? The insurrection will be accredited to paid agents, right? Paid actors, okay? Because that's how insurrections are goddamn carried out, right?
They create, just like they did with COVID-19, they create a whirlwind that they can't control. So don't study the fact that they was initially the instigators. They create a spiral. This spiral's out of control, right?
Fact. So,
but you keep telling me that this shit's supposed to be burnt. You keep telling me that this shit's supposed to fall. How the fuck you think it happened then? My apologies. Go ahead.
So the insurrection has taken place inside of the quote unquote Black youth, the new generation, the streets, the trenches, the hood, the turn-ups, right? The Liddy committee, the drillers.
Ones that do not have damaged second chakra, so they was able to activate their solar plexus third chakra. When that coronal mass ejection hit on May 29th. Google it.
That's right. If the sun woke up and then at the same time on the earth, niggas woke up because niggas have woken up. I don't know what anybody out there's ties are in to the streets. I don't know how deep your ties go. I don't know how deep your anchor is into the motherfucking trenches. But I'm deep. I'm down there in the foxhole, and I'm here to let you know that the sleeping giant has awakened. Right? They're roaring. Not just they don't want to loot. They don't want to even march, bro. They want to learn. They want to soak up the information. A lot of them woke up during COVID-19. That was an awakening. This is a greater awakening. There was a trinity. There was 3 lynchings that took place. There was Ahmaud Arbery. He died on his feet. Then there was Breonna Taylor. She died in her sleep. Then Floyd the God died in the streets. And niggas said that we're not going to take it anymore. Because remember, Ahmed died fighting. That sparked something in real niggas' DNA to say, oh, yeah, that's how you go out on your feet. I'm not going out hands up, don't shoot. I'm not going out all moist and whatnot. I'm going out on my feet. That's the when we seen Homie,
fighting. And
like
when did that
Tupac
happen?
said, a coward dies 1,000 deaths. A soldier, right? A soldier dies 1 death. A coward dies 1,000.
Going into Aries.
That happened going right into Aries in February.
Aries.
Directly
fighting.
It was the doppelganger to Trayvon Martin. It was 8 years to this day. Right? Trayvon 2012 halftime game. Magic Arena. It was the halftime game of the All-Star game. Halftime. He was at the store for the Skittles. P. Diddy, all the woke people who were all out there running out, they were in the Magic Arena. He got killed right there in Sanford. He got killed right in the same area where the All-Star game was taking place. Directly 8 years later, Ahmaud Arbery dies fighting his assailants. A citizen doing a citizen's arrest. That's Trayvon, a citizen doing a citizen's arrest. Like David Chappelle said, Zimmerman, when you watch the David Chappelle show. And remember, don't let me forget the science that David Chappelle dropped on Mika Johnson on a 777 ritual.
Mm-hmm.
And Kobe was playing that same, oh my goodness, he went in. I didn't know that. The day 777.
Everything different.
When he martyred. Yeah,
everything different. Yeah.
There's no going backwards. All of you backwards Negro, get on the back of the
they got
bus.
a whole planet for you niggas. That retrograde planet. You want to go back? You got to catch a motherfucking ride to that. You feel me?
Facts.
So for everybody else who want to go forward to this new earth, this new world that they talking about, then understand that we are going through the corona rising, right? That God's spark is a rise. It's alive.
It is an uprising
within you. It has come online.
If you ain't online, fam, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I'm talking about? Your teachers have failed you, nigga, but I wasn't one of them. If I walk past you niggas shaking the cup, I am going to Liu Kang you if you ask me for a nickel, nigga, because you got the game over the years. You got this cloth. You got every single tool that you needed. Do you know how much a genius Dave Chappelle, he lined everything up. He immortalized Mika and Gavin. He put them on the motherfucking map. He showed you that they put in the work and they set this whole thing off, okay? That is those are the two, it's 3 of them. It's a trinity. It's Ishmael out of Baltimore who came into Brooklyn, set it off. and he martyred Eric Garner and the other person.
Right. Which, as a result, they created
This
blue
is
law.
wild uncomfortable. Yeah, this is wild uncomfortable for people that's not about that life. And this is a conversation that you can't have in the public. So I'm going to speak in Pig Latin for the sake of, you know, not alarming anybody.
All right, so
These
let's get to a couple of questions.
Yeah,
before
let's
we get out
definitely get to a couple of questions. But there's some lectures that I've done. I don't want to cut your wisdom. There's a litany of lectures that I've done from December that I highly encourage everybody to dive into. The first one was Fear of a Black or More Messiah. That was in January. Fear of a Black or More Messiah, hashtag 2020 Year of Fear, right? I did 2 parts because it was so deep. In the first part, I gave you the significance and the science and the geodetics of the statues and why they had to come down. I did it on Melanin Monday. I laid it out for you. This is in January. Check the records. And I explained why the statue, I even brought Ross Ben on. Hold on.
That's a fact. You know, shout out to Ross Ben. You know, Ross Ben has an amazing book called Free the Mounds and Your Mind Will Follow. And after we spoke about it on his program last time, he sold out his entire inventory. So people in the audience at this point in time, you know what that book is laying out. It's showing you the geomancy that's taking place all across this country that ties this country back to Rome, right? And how they strategically set up those statues on grid points and ley lines, and they are harnessed in energy. So the fact that those particular symbols, those statues have been disrupted and came down, it is now releasing, right? And activating the grid. The earth has now been able to breathe, right? Because they done had their neck on her for how long? Nobody talk about mama, right? How long they had their neck on mama? They put fucking concrete on the earth. She can't even breathe, right? And they got these statues on her ley line, and these statues are drenched in melanin blood, and they're copper. So they become conductors, right? The fucking lightning struck the monument twice, and it hit 2 National Guards. That's the ancestors. And it happened on a Thursday, the day of Thor. Shango.
Oh, man. Zeus. They drilling.
Come on,
the
man.
ancestor round.
Are you not
and I told y'all, and I said in Ascension Protocol 2020, Dr. Africa went up. Baba Kalindi, IE, went up. Dr. Africa is dealing with pure African consciousness, dealing with health, not only health. He was a he took note. He was about that action. Remember,
when we gonna get to that?
When we gonna
get to memorializing?
Put them on
those ancestors.
Minister Hafiz from the nation left us, right? He was a powerful ancestor. He was about that action, right? Who else left? Credo Mutwa. He's the father of metaphysics, and he's the father of this occult shit. He was the one who freed Negroes from being underneath the spell of these Christian white guys that had niggas believing in 6-foot blonde-haired crackers, right? And aliens and stuff. Credo brought you into the Dogon tribe. Credo, huh? No, I'm not saying that. I'm not. All right, for the modern day iteration of a lot of brothers and sisters dealing with this metaphysics, the Dogon, and things of that nature from African metaphysics, occultism, Credo was one of the master teachers of that. Let me clear that up. All right. And these elders who made transition, along with the hip hop people, along with what we would call the African or the Ado, you had Pop Smoke, you had Nipsey Hussle, you have the Black Mamba, three kings who died in LA within a year span of Nipsey Hussle's ascension, not his death, his ascension. What would Nipsey do? What would Nipsey say? What role would Nipsey play in this reality? Or is Nipsey playing a role in this reality? If you niggas is metaphysical and spiritual, you can't pick and choose. It is or it's not. If you brouhahaing, if you throwing, no, I'm just saying.
What I've been saying, right? Last year, because I'm saying that my storytelling of this started in December. It actually started in April of last year, the day after Nipsey died. I said, look, that is a harbinger of things to come, right? He represents a heralding of the sign of the coming of the Christ, being a 33-year-old Ethiopian Coptic, right, who dies on a Sunday in Los Angeles, who has the phenotype and the story of someone who experienced or was able to unveil and reveal messianic force in our lifetime, right? And I'm like, look, that's a harbinger, a heralding of things to come. And now look where we at. Like I said,
So,
go ahead.
So about a year of Nipsey Hussle's thoughts, Nipsey Hussle's sayings, Nipsey Hussle's quotes, Nipsey Hussle's walk, Nipsey Hussle's books and his music, not just with me and Blue, with millions of people, majority of the ones that was in them streets lighting shit the fuck up and running through Dior, right? These are Nipsey Hussle babies. These are Pop Smoke babies. You know what I'm talking about? These are the babies that was hurt that my dude Kobe and his daughter Gianni died, bro. You know what I'm talking about? So they found the throughway through Big Floyd and whatnot, and they ran with that. And you can't say that that's not, you cannot deny that it ain't what it is. And the streets can never go back to whence they came because it's still taking place. This shit is not over. These brothers, our people is not finished waking up. Our people is not finished standing up. They got statues falling in the river as we speak right now. What is you talking about? And they finna to pull down the Columbus in Columbus Circle. Is you serious?
Yeah.
And no shot got fired yet. And what I'm saying is, if y'all niggas been out there talking about busting your ratchet and all of this smoke, right? And then cities is smoking. You mean to tell me you don't? We not partying right now? You niggas not inviting us to a party? There's no party. There's no platinum party. You not celebrating. There's no ceremony. You still in the house? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying this community has fallen off. Hard body.
Yeah, I mean, these are small things that can be done. Hold on. Ceremonial beating of drums for prolongated hours, right? To channel that particular spirit. African traditional sacrifices of said animals to channel spirit, if that's what you do, right? If you into the Torah, read that shit all day. If you into the Quran, make extra salats, right? If you're a Christian, goddammit, go into Revelations and identify through your book where you're at in this day and time. And if you identify, goddammit, it come with instructions, right? And you ask yourself, what the fuck would Jesus do? According to your narrative. Nigga, this ain't for the people that say, oh, Jesus ain't real, nigga. Mind your fucking business. I'm talking to Christians right now who come under the dictate and the leadership of that particular deific entity or that force that they follow, right? He would turn up. So if you Christ-like, why you not turning up, right? He wouldn't be passive. He wouldn't be a non-participant, right? He wouldn't be sitting on his ass or sitting on his hands. He would go out and he would go for his people. He would feed the masses. He would teach the truth, right? He would shame the devil. He would stand up to them and show no fear, right? And if necessary, he would sacrifice his body.
In this community, you got, always remember this, you got action and distraction. And it's two parallels that always run congruent to each other. Action and distraction. And you got the opportunity and the choice to be in either lane. We in the action lane. Straight like that, and it's done in the works. If you ain't out here working, you a distraction. Where's your works? Where are you? Where are you niggas at? Why are these organizations not in the street 100,000 deep? Yeah, you niggas don't march, and you niggas is not protesting, or you gods, or you goddesses, or whatever you want to name yourselves. or you Moors, or you Hebrews, or whatever your organization is, or you Masons, or whatever you want to be, you Smurfs, whoever you are, why aren't you outside? That's my question. Where you at? Because you don't gotta march no more. They set it off. They set it up. Who God is you niggas? Where's your God? Who is your God? Your God is not telling you, huh?
I'm saying they finished marching. They exhausted themselves. Now where's the teaching? Where's the advocacy? Right? Where's the door-to-door advocacy? Where's the million pamphlets littering the city speaking about your agenda, or telling people why they shouldn't identify with labels if that's the case, right? Where's the finessing your approach? Because you have a captive audience right now, right? So why so quiet? Where's the propaganda? Right?
Imagine that streets were
if you
lined.
right, hold on, yeah. If you are upset and you saying, oh, they punching on and beating up on buildings, you know what I'm saying? Or those statues are meaningless. That's a meaningless victory, right? What does yours look like? What does yours look like? If that's the game you win, and if you choose to sit it out, that's your choice as well. You dig what I'm saying? But for the people that got something to say, and the people who fat mouth themselves all the way to this point, because they sold the world and they sold the people on the fact that they was for the people. Well, the people want to know where you at.
The people outside, they not going inside, bro. I was in New York last week. Why is people not telling the world what the fuck is going on in New York City? New York has taken the knees to the streets. Can I get a cosign if Brother Rich?
That's facts, man. That's facts.
The streets of New York in a span of about 7 to 10 days brought a whole empire state, the financial capital of the entire world, the crown jewel in what people call global power, the home of media, fashion, and entertainment. They got brought to their knees. Every single major store in New York City is boarded up as if 18 tornadoes and 2 hurricanes is coming through there. I saw Times Square shut off by police barricades. It was a line with policemen who looked like they was 13 years old and was scared to death of everything around them. I never saw Times Square completely shut down, and they were in fear of. They saw me with this jewelry and all of that. They was looking. They thought I was the Grand Marshal. Them niggas thought I had the people with me. New York got crippled by the protests and the uprising. There was an uprising that the shit went Gotham. It went Gotham in a few days. That's not New York anymore. I told Rich, I did not feel comfortable in New York when I got out there. I had to get back on the channel. I was not on the same channel. I'm coming from the woods and shit. The air is clean where I'm at. Shit moving slow. I get to New York, everybody is masked up. They don't look happy. Every single store is graffiti all over the place on the Black Lives Matter. The Black Guards are here. Black people are the best.
Back,
love.
Man. Graffiti is back, man.
Who is back?
Graffiti is back.
It is a political climate.
Let me get
Graffiti is back.
I don't want to forget.
Yo.
Yeah. I don't want to forget a couple of these questions before we get out of here. Somebody wanted to know, Blue brought up Ethiopia early in the conversation. Somebody wanted to know the significance of it being 2012 in Ethiopia, and what does that have to do with it being 2020 over here where we at?
Whew.
Like I said, Ethiopia, it connects and it automatically is put into play anybody who read any paperwork or books from Noble Drew Ali, when he explained that they even referred to this landmass as Ethiopia. At one time, when they spoke about Ethiopians, they were speaking about African people as a whole, totality of African people. You see this ring that I have on right here? This is Lala Bella. Shout out to Baba Samaj of Studio of Heru. He created this with his hands, but this is a church that's built out of the ground that they said the angels came and built in a day or two or night, some crazy shit like that. But look at the supersymmetry on it. This is in Ethiopia, right? These are the first people who had that Christ information, that Christos information, right?
Christ
Coming from coming from that Herakuti, right? Comedic information. That's what Bobby Hemmett was saying. He said 2020 is going to be the rise of Herakuti. Okay? The fire god, Shango, ready to go to war with the flaming sword. Later on, they say that that's Jesus coming back with the sword dripping in blood. That's all that is, right? So bringing Ethiopia into the narrative is automatically invoking 2012. And like I said, the shadow of 2012, 8 years later, is the real 2012, right? December 21st, 2020, right? The Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. This is the convergence of a multiplicity of dimensions. You're going to be able to see into different worlds on that day. This is the alignment. This is when the sun stops, goes backwards. All of that shit is going to happen this year. You understand? You will bear witness. Every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess in 2020. We already seeing it with the European. Let them go through their shit. Okay? Let them go through their shit. Whether it's real or it's contrived. If it's fucking a play and they're acting, find a way that it can feed your psychology, nigga. Okay? Find a way that it can feed your psychology. So the bringing of 2020 or 2012 into the equation also speaks to the fact that the Mexim, right? The Americas have to come alive as a land, as a grid. Do you know what's going on in Mexico right now? They are rioting in Mexico as well, right? Because the Mexicans killed the Mexican police killed the Mexican for not wearing a face mask. My nigga, I have never seen such gory footage in my life of how they're killing the police out there. I've never seen no shit. That's why my shit is somewhat tempered and I'm laughing at these niggas out here because I'm like, bro, I could go on my phone right now and look at what this shit really looks like. I'm talking about it's wholesale slaughter and they was lighting them on fire, the police. They got some footage out where the brains is hanging out. They got like 10 of them laid out on the floor body. They wetting them up because you know they don't have no gumption about sending up the police. They send up military out there, right? Yeah. And they behead your shit. They got a different type of deity. That's the lady of murder and death. Yeah. You know, they scorpion energy for real. So yeah, that's that mind.
They got
energy.
trap guards.
They got trap guards.
Remember.
So hold on. So the grid has to come alive, right? They just found one of the oldest pyramids and the largest ones ever. All of this stuff is happening in the last month or two, right? There's wild news. I'm talking about like 25 articles come out a day. People have no idea. If they just caught up in the shit that's going on TV, they're missing the whole backdrop of what's taking place because so much information is coming to the surface, so much unveiling and uncovering of things that just speak to the continuity of a majestic story if you could see it for what it is, right? If you could only see this shit for what it is, man. And I'm gonna do a lecture on the 21st, really getting into the intricate details, showing you step by step, blow by blow, you know, where we're at in time. Because December 21st, 2020, Google it, family, do the research, see what they're saying about this alignment that's about to take place. So the awakening initially, the ending of time and the entrance of the fifth sun in Mayan time happened December 21st, 2012. But if anybody was around that time and cognizant, that shit did not pan out the way that they were selling it, right? It wasn't the big shebang bang. December 21st, 2020 is, right? Jupiter, Saturn conjunction at 0 degrees Aquarius, right? So this is the culmination of a 20-year period, okay? When, you know, this alignment happens, but it's the culmination of a 5,000-year cycle, my nigga, okay? They cooked the books, the shit that they was telling you about in 2012, it's really about 2020. That's what we're seeing. Go back and look at the movie 2012 one more time, and then look at this shit going on right now, and see if that's not more in line than what the fuck you experienced in 2012, right? And it ain't nowhere over. This shit is about to Rick Rock, because these eclipses about to hit. There's like 4 of them in a row, and then they line up to 4 more to take place amongst the span. They got one in 2044. They got one in 2045. All of this shit is popping, bro. They got another one on July the 4th and the 5th. That's Sirius rising, right? Bro.
Dude, yeah, man. Somebody earlier wanted to know, why is Bob Johnson all of a sudden asking for reparations? What is that about? You know, the BET dude, Bob Johnson. I think I'm saying his name right.
Yeah, that's Bob Johnson.
Right.
I mean, going back to how the ancestors are working this thing out, he's a high profile, quote unquote, billionaire. Why not him? If him, I mean, imagine if somebody from the bottom presented that and was like, yo, why Bob Johnson, who's the black billionaire, why don't he support us? Well, guess what? It's a top-down conversation now. He's one of the most accomplished, and he's making the call. He's being the spokesman. It's obvious that the numbers and the research was laid out by Floyd. He's definitely, I'm sure he was inspired by Claude Anderson's Breakfast Club demonstration and whatnot. And by him making the appeal, going back to what we're saying, the calling is on everything falls on the shoulders of us. Everything falls on the shoulders of the master students. Everything falls on the motherfucking shoulders of the people in the audience who consider themselves to be in class. It's not about what your master teacher is doing. It's about what the hell are the students doing? And if Bob Johnson is making moves, what are the ants on the goddamn inside of the ant farm doing? Because the people, this is time to move on the ground. You have Big Homie, the Big Homie made a move. So this is how you work it on the ground level and bring it up, because it's the groundwork has already been done.
Right.
I feel that is a combination. Like, what is the spiritual impact of an ADOS movement? What does that look like when it rains down for manna? What does that register? Even though it is not what it was, but what is that impact? They impacted. It has to be acknowledged that there was an impact. That impact still has its merits, right?
Right. Because I mean, look at how they're pandering for the black vote. Let's talk politics for a second. Do you see what's going on here? Right? Taking these with Kente claws, doing them with Wakanda fist pumps and all that crazy shit. You see the pandering, you see the importance. Like I said, every coin got 2 sides. So you can go all the way upstairs into the cosmos and say, oh, that's the ancestors working the board and moving their pieces around. Because like you said, these soulless, spiritless people, they're very movable right now. You can put them in game.
Facts.
You can put them in game. And if you fail to do so, you've blown a wonderful fucking opportunity, right? You can put them in game and get some things done right now, right? Woo. And then there's an agenda base, of course, because they're pandering for the black vote, because they need it. It's necessary. I didn't say the fucking Moorish vote, because the Moors don't vote. I said the black vote on purpose, right? They need that in order to get rid of Trump. So Trump is going to pander for the black vote on June 19th, going to Tulsa. It's a race for the black vote, right? You are the piece. And they're going to do everything they can to keep you in that particular matrix as well. That's another catch. Then they got the census. Then they got contact tracing. Then they got all of these ways to what? Claim ownership again over your body and your vessel. But do you have it in you to say, you know what? fuck this shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give back to Caesar what is his. I don't even want to be in Rome, but I am gonna set my own thing up in the meantime, right? While I build these bridges over to other continents to set up my domain out there. I mean, because you don't got no choice. What else you gonna do? You got a little bit of time to make your mind up.
And
You feel me?
in fact, because think about it, we missed the opportunity to commemorate the 99th anniversary of Black Wall Street. That was done on purpose. America could not afford for Black America to hearken on the fact that they were massacred. They had a town that was basically homeland terrorized, and there was an atrocity of untold proportions that took place. So if melanated people in the year of 2020, where you have 1 year, now you have 1 year left to reach the 100-year anniversary of when you were considered to be at your highest. And if you're entertaining the idea of voting Democrat or Republican at this point, to both parties who kept that a secret successfully for 100 years, because niggas are just finding out about it this week. Russell Westbrook, who jumped out after. Go ahead, Cook.
And the chances are the motherfuckers who burnt Tulsa was Democrats.
That's a fact. Those are the high chances, because those were the Democrats. And Russell Westbrook is going to, he hopped out after we did the video saying, damn, how could no celebrities highlight the fact that it was the 99th anniversary? Like, how come? Because I heard Oprah for 5 years ago, she was going to do Tulsa, and she missed the 99. If she did a tweet the day, because I see how Twitter works now. If she put out a tweet that day, it would have trended, and everybody would have been talking about it. They did not. They missed it. And then they went public and said Russell Westbrook is going to do a series on it to commemorate it for its 100th year. So I'm like, damn. So we got a year to rebuild
the
Black
44.
Wall Street.
Yeah, the 44.
Huh? The 44.
The 40,
I said,
Russ 44.
yeah, and Russ was like, yo, I heard about Tulsa while I was on OKC. But prior to that, I'd never heard of that. So if y'all still trust the government that hid a Holocaust and taught you about Schindler's List, but hid a homeland Holocaust, not just a regular homeland Holocaust, a Holocaust that's gone down in history as setting our people back hundreds of years, because after they bombed Tulsa and moved on us, they moved on other places. The same way after they did the Wilmington massacre, they took over all of the Carolinas, and this is where you have the implementation of what's called a Deep South. Before the Deep State, if you want to do the Deep State, you got to do the research on the Deep South, because before Deep State, there was the Deep South, right? The Deep South is the impenetrable bond that these supremacists who took these countries the same, and there's also a tie between the Jacksonian Democrats who took the Carolinas and Georgia and all of that in blood. And they took Houston and then with Houston and all of that with Texas, when they took that in blood, and those were slave states, and they were human trafficking, sex trafficking, organ trafficking, harvest trafficking. They're mafia, they're mob, they're fucking killers, they're Satanists, right? This is the foundation of it. And the symbology of the statue is just one part of it. You dig? There's real human beings holding it, but you have the opportunity for that generation who are dying off to the children that are left over they're willing to acquiesce, right? They're like, you know what? We could get rid of this shit. We could let this go. We got hip hop. Hip hop will absorb us. We good. They're willing to let that old tradition go. It's those older ones who are holding on, but the curse is up, and they see it spiritually. They feel it spiritually. George Floyd had a messianic force. There's a fear of a Blackamoor Messiah. What is the Blackamoor Messiah? It's the messianic force. They don't want it to be released. That's why there's still laws on the book that 10 of us can't gather. What does that mean? That means that secretly and subliminally, they do not want us to come together. It's on the books. That means that I don't have the inclination to even unite with my brothers. I don't have the mind state of calling 1 million of us together or 1,000 of us to meet up by the state building so we could just kick it, or we could just put $100 in a pot so we could go and buy us a building and whatnot. I can't even think like that, because we're property on the books, they won't even let black people, black men in particular, to gather more than 10 of us, unless the paddy wagon is coming out. A drone will come out. The police is going to access. A Karen will pull up. Donna Karen will call the police on us if 30 of us are walking down Fifth Avenue, just minding our own black business, exuding melanin and pure carbon. But 30 men in heels could walk down the street and people would be like applauding them, but they're intimidated by our unity. So what is the key to this thing? The key to this thing is coming back together, conjoining our resources, our forces, our ideas, and our concepts, having a vote, having a standard, restoring value, right? Restoring and adding rewards to those of us who put in work, who do the work that needs to be done, rewarding them heavenly, and implementing a penalty system, meaning that anybody crosses this line, if anybody touches a hair on my skin, or my brother's skin, or my mother's skin, or my children's skin, on anyone who has insurance on their bodies, you know what I'm saying? There's a policy to deal with you outside, because we police our own, we police ourselves, we're sovereign. The fact that they erected an autonomous city means that there's no going back, meaning that that is the first iteration, because people are not giving credit to iterations, meaning the same way that you got your iPhone 1, that shit turned into an 11 because it got better, it improved upon itself, it upgraded, it 2.3 and 4.0, it obeyed the Moore's law. We have to give our people who are just waking up, we have to give some of these organizations that are just getting out there, these people are learning, they're leveling up, they're 2.0ing. Tamika Mallory has 2.3.0, you know, just to use an example. My son and them, they're upgrading in their quote unquote walk or whatever their journey is. I'm seeing there's a lot of people, I'm using that as an example. That's not a main example. I'm just throwing that out there.
But, I know what you're talking about.
He went from a small time activist to whereas he'll become more than woke in a little while. And maybe even some of the people that he may have around him, he may outgrow that. That means that you're upgrading and you're leveling up and you're changing your design, your intelligent design. So things that I was angry about, I'm no longer angered because I'm operating on a love frequency based off of some information or based off of a teacher or based off of an ideology that's been revealed to me. This is what people are allowed to pick up on their walks. So even though we have a watchful eye over a lot of people who are out there who are, you know, in front of our people and doing what they do, we still give people room to grow. Look how long it took many of us to get where we're at.
All right, let the brother ask.
All right.
Indeed. Let's get one last question in. Family, give me one last. I want to thank everybody for staying with us, man. Thank you, everybody, for staying with us. We've been streaming for over 2 hours. We've still got about 2,000 people in the chat. Shout out to Red and Blue for coming through on Black Magic 363 tonight.
Salute to you, salute to the platform, salute to the audience. It's been a minute since myself been on here. You've had some powerful shows that I've seen on the lineup. So shout out for the good work.
I don't know what somebody said thoughts on the NFAC. Do you know what that is?
So let me be more specific.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, can I plug my event that's coming up?
Yeah.
Yeah, for the family, my KT aliens, those of y'all who are you know, supportive of the works that I've been doing. I have a new lecture that's coming up on the 25th. That's 2 Thursdays from now. If you've been following my series entitled American Gods, I will be presenting part 4 of American Gods on event. It's on Zoom. The tickets are going to be on Eventbrite. underneath American Gods. That's with a Z. American GODZ #4.eventbrite.com. For anybody, for the family that showed up to my last lectures. I did a lecture with Pop Darby and my brother Talik in Houston. And I said that I was going to wake the grid up. I was like, this is the energy capital of the world, right? That was on a Sunday. On that Monday, our brother George Floyd lost his life. He's from Houston, and Houston came out 60,000 deep to hold him down a few days later. You know what I'm talking about? And Houston will never be the same again. And that energy, because that's the energy capital of the entire world, not just America, the world, right? So American Gods Part 4 is going to be metaphysical. It's going to be information packed. I just dropped it in the chat room underneath Notaledge Media. You could go ahead and click on that and go to Eventbrite, and we'll try to have that in the description. But it is going to be very informative, very deep. We already did 3 of these, and they've all been laced with prophecy, information, and you know, just research. So yeah, that's what's coming up and whatnot.
So the NFAC, that's the black militia group that went to Maud Arbery's block after the
and that was you know, I was out there a day before that. We went down there as well to touch that grid and stand in unison with Queen Yasananda. You know the sister, we interviewed her a few times on this channel right here. Yeah, we went to hold her down. She went down to Brunswick and she had to speak at a rally, you know, and we went out there and we shut the sheriff down, right? They was trying to applaud the sheriff and call him a hero, and Keys cut that shit off. It was like, fuck is that? You know what I mean? He barked on him like, how dare y'all applaud this motherfucker for doing what should have just been his job. He ain't do nothing special. This case went on for 2 months. They had to step in outside and force his hand to do something. But, you know, it was on that time out there. So the next day, you know, people is like, oh, we need, you know, armor. Because it was funny, like, they had, you know, they was following, you know what I'm saying? Not following and monitoring, you know what I mean? You see, because it's near military base as well. They don't tell y'all that because it's near a port. And anything that's near a port, that's where they got some of that stuff coming in. And it's always military bases over there. So we was being flanked by like military. And there was a brother though, he was active military at the time. And he was holding us down. So he went to the neighborhood with us and everything. And it was a very unsettling feeling on that block. We went to the spot where he got murdered. You know, we did a little, you know, spoke to the spirit, you know what I mean? Did what we did and what have you. And the next day, them brothers popped up, you know what I mean? And I feel that it was a very necessary show of force because the community was heated, but they still are somewhat passive because of the entrenched Christianity in that region. They didn't necessarily know how to stand up, you know what I mean? So it was necessary for them to see the family show up with no fear and really expose, once again, the adversary for who they are, because the police would not come on that block. You feel me? They only sent one police on the block when we was out there with one gap. The police were just scared of the energy. They never seen, they're not used to seeing melanated men who stand upright, who don't have fear. That's not what they're used to. That's the shit that they fear. You feel me? So for the optics, I feel that it was a very necessary display or symbol, right? But I'm not familiar with that organization enough to speak specifically about, you know, who they are, what their tactics or their background is. I don't know enough about them, but the brother, I've heard him speak and his passion resonates in a way in which I know that he don't have fear, right? And he knows something about this devil that a lot of people don't. You feel me? And that gives him a different level of a Godfidence. And he's ready to get busy, you know? So, I mean, that's what I picked up from it. And you know, and the flip side of that is you have paid actors countering that image by coming to the march here in Atlanta. The sister that dressed up like a panther, she was an actress, right? That was a dry run. That wasn't the real deal. Hugging the police, taking photo ops with the fuzz, right?
Yeah.
Discrediting. Angela Davis would have never done no donkey funky shit like that, right? How dare she? And like he said, like that's propaganda material that if you don't curate and correct history, that's going to go into the file when the story is told 20, 30, 40 years from now. That's still going to be identified and designated as the Panthers.
Facts. Somebody said the brother ran for president.
Wow.
The brother from NFAC. They said he ran for president.
Okay.
What I want to add on to that aspect of private or any kind of armed militia groups, black militia groups, I'm highly encouraging that our people who are licensed, right? There's a large majority of the family that is licensed. There are tactical training facilities where I'm at over on the New England side, and
So,
they're also.
No, go ahead.
And there also are options in Texas and in places in the South. To give you a list of the names of the security firms that exist right now that are active, I don't have that in front of me. I believe that there are a good amount of them. If you're in the Detroit area, you know, I know that New Era Detroit and a few other people deal with the whole firearms thing and training. But that is I think that's on the top of the list for summer activities for families and brothers who are definitely ready to arm themselves. Women who are ready to arm themselves. Let's keep in mind, non-lethal and lethal combat training, non-lethal tactical training, lethal tactical training, all of these things are options. So if you don't want to do anything lethal, if you just want to protect yourself or learn how to protect yourself or learn how to survive the outdoors, you know, you should tap in. You know, you should tap in. You get in touch with me, I'll get you in touch with the right people, and you'll be able to touch some of the firearms that you could utilize, you know, because it's a God-given right. It's a God-given right. One of the things that I would put out there as an affirmation is that the felons are restored the right to bear arms. The felons, the black felons, the men who were convicted of nonviolent offenses, drug charges and stuff like that, and at times like this, I feel that it is their God-given duty and right, at least give them a fighting chance, right? For all of the fear mongers, well, giving them guns is just gonna make white people mad, and that's gonna make them come after them. Listen, Chicken Little, give them a fucking chance, right? At least let our people protect themselves or feel like they could protect these babies and these mothers, man. Like if there's anything that we should be pushing for, it is for our brothers and sisters who have come home from their tour of duty, right? To be a part of a security firm that is mature, because look how these contractors that they had going all around Iraq committing atrocities in the name of Halliburton and Kellogg's and whatnot. These were people who were career criminals. And many of them got radicalized and are now heads of these white nationalist organizations because they come home and they're responsible to their people. Like the brother Malcolm had on a shirt, shout out to Urban X, Black Dot. I'm not racist, but I'm about my race first. So only a traitor would have fault in anybody repping for their own when they've been raised from little by their parents and their quote unquote community that they are in a race. If we came from the Asian community, all of us, we would be in the yellow race. If we were from the Indian community or the whatever, the Mexican, we would be in a brown race. We are in this community and they're giving us a color to denote all of these different nations. We're in a black race. And it's our duty to win that race by any means necessary. Because there's another race that's in this trying to keep up. And they want to gold. They're not settling for silver. They apparently want gold. But look at us speed up in this quote unquote final lap. Look at us take off. Look at those of us who we said, I can't breathe. They thought that we didn't have it in our lungs. They thought that we were lagging behind. Look at all of these races that thought that they were in front of us. Look how fast we took off and we completely left them in the wind. Now we on the neck of, pause, we're on the neck of Bruce Jenner. Wasn't that nigga a runner? Yeah, we on Caitlyn's heels. We on Caitlyn's
but look,
heels.
yeah, I just want to say, as well, let me do a real quick prediction. The next high-level infiltration will be through the black militia. There's going to be a rise in black militias. They're going to pop up all around the place simply because there's going to be a call for self-monitoring of communities, right? Once they defund police departments and it falls into the lap of the community is going to have to hire out security force. So there's going to be a real rush to, ex-military. I guess they'll be the first ones that'll be tapped, the heavy security forces, and there's going to be infiltration, and there's going to be tension, you know what I'm saying, in the summer, because people have not seen what the pushback looks like yet, right? There's going to be some pushback. You dig what I'm saying? You feel me? There's going to be, there's going to be some pushback. And, the people are just going to have to be firm in their own personal convictions about where you at. But training right now, that's ideal. You need to get into that. Physical training, tactical training, you know what I'm saying? And just even in your own meditation space so you don't fall into mental paralysis and be goddamn crippled by fear as some of the shit that you're about to see. So with that, I want to say that, one of the initiatives that we have enacted and we are involved with on a weekly basis, we feed families here in the city of Atlanta. We go door to door in food impoverished or food insecure neighborhoods, and we're bringing food and security to the people. Why do I say security? Because every life that we help avoid contact tracing, we have given that person something that a militia can't. We've given that person something that fucking the blood of Jesus and church can't, right? Immunity to the goddamn COVID, so they don't be taking people out of their goddamn house and putting them Lord knows where, right? This is not the time to be getting goddamn rendition and shit like that, right? And get put into this, because Operation Warp Speed is still in effect. They still have an agenda. They still have spent billions and they got trillions tucked away, right? Because they're printing up money and giving the Americans something that might be the equivalent of $900 million. They just printed up $2 trillion. Where that money went? It's mad people that said they didn't get their bread yet. What you think? Nobody fucking did the math to be like, oh, they ran through $2 trillion. Where did that go? Huh? They run in circles. So you talking about looting? I'm talking about looting. The people are slow, but thank God that the people are waking up. You feel me? All praises due. 1077 Westview Drive. That is in the West End area of Atlanta, Georgia at 9 a.m. at the True Living Well Farms. That's where we meet up, okay, with Everybody Eats ATL and Protect Black Lives. Along with the shifters, we go door to door. We do tactical training, drilling there. We do meditation, yoga, exercise. We be in the garden, picking the plants. We're growing plants. We have a food operation that's in full production out of North Carolina, hemp farming on the way. You know what I'm saying? It's a beautiful day because if we don't secure the primary thing first. Food, clothing, and shelter comes first. You can't have people that are middle finger in the system, and then it's going to go back to the man expecting him to feed you, right? Nutritional foods, knowing damn well that this Frankenstein has manipulated all of his food in the labs already. So what you think he's going to do with the latest, right? If he knows I could call the masses, I could control the masses through the food, right? So we have to make that strategic play. And I threw my hat in the ring. I'm glad that I made that, I listened to that spirit and made the right decision, because now we got momentum. Now I'm getting a chance to envision what it looks like, right? And I have the confidence to know that we can create community across the country, satellite community, and the hubs of these communities can now grow the food necessary to make all surrounding communities no longer food deserts, right? We could bring life to food deserts and cure the insecurity in our people, right? And also directly, bring down the pre-existing conditions. So this time next year, we won't be having that same conversation about our people being, like the medical mafia. We ain't talking about, if they say 100,000 bodies died from COVID, why are we not talking about all of the misdiagnoses, the butchering that took place, the fact that our family couldn't have decent funerals or burials? How dare we? And no disrespect to George Floyd, but do we know how people was being desecrated, right? 2 months ago in this country, they was putting our people in butchering shops, killing them in them hospitals, disrespecting their body. Bodies and bodies and bodies piled up in the hallway in body bags, them kicking them and all of that. The nursing home murders. How dare we not look this devil in his face and see this thing exactly for what it is? You understand? This is exactly what it is. It's not a piece of it. It is what it is. It's all out. You feel me? So hopefully the people open their eyes to this shit and see what it is and do something that's in alignment with what they feel is the best way that they could contribute to solutions, right? Solutions. So if you're in Atlanta and you want to participate and you want to get hands-on, you can meet us down at the farm on Sunday morning, 9 a.m. True Living Wells. I'll say the address one more time, 1077 Westview Drive, right? In the community of Asheview, Atlanta. That's the first Black community in Atlanta. You understand?
Yeah.
So.
Listen, like I said, man, I want to thank Red and Blue for coming back on the show. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We about to get out of here. Before we leave, go ahead.
I'm gonna be in North Carolina on Thursday, y'all, in Lee County. This is a county named after Robert Lee. I'm gonna be in Sanford on the 18th, Thursday, right before Juneteenth. I'll be doing a demonstration with a brother down there, Los Loke. He is confronting the mayor. There's a police chief that's been there for 55 years. There's a whole bunch of things going on, and we're gonna shake it up. Then on the 19th, I'm gonna be in Atlanta. It's gonna be Family Day, 19 Keys, Blue Pill, the rest of the shifters. Then we're going to have the 21st. That's gonna be Blue Pill's lecture, and I'm gonna be releasing some new music. It's going to be a celebration, Father's Day, summer solstice, and solar eclipse. We're doing magic in the ATL, KTL and the ATL next weekend. Pull up, be in the building, check out our social media. You'll get all of the information. I love each and every one of y'all. Love y'all to life.
Give them your social media.
Yeah, EL_PHILTHMOOR, L Filthmore. That's me on IG. That's me on Twitter. Know the Ledge Media. Melanin Monday, Third Eye Thursdays on YouTube. All right.
At
and Eventbrite American.
44, right? At Blue Pillar 44, PILLAR44. Shout out to Mama Pill, greenleaf-herbs.com. Shout out to Katie the Archery, KTtheArchery.net. Shout out to AA Rashid with the Sabi Genesis. You could DM him on Instagram at AA Rashid Art. All right. So with that, I want to say peace, love, and light. Thank you once again, Brother Rich. Shout out to your family. All right. And see you next time with some more good news.
D family, we getting out of here. Peace.
All right, peace.